Hello, I'm Robert Morris. I want to welcome you to this Bob Ross session. I'm one of the certified Bob Ross instructors, so we're going to try one of his today, and it's going to be a walk in the woods. So, without further ado, I'm going to move my props over here, show you what I've had done already. Okay, in this case, I have a 16 by 20 inch canvas. I've put some black gesso on it, a thin, even coat of black gesso on it. And then over that, I put a thin, even coat of liquid clear in this section. Very, very thin. In fact, once I put it on, I took a paper towel and I wiped it off just so it wouldn't be a lot on there, just working the liquid clear into the fabric. So just a tint of it. In the center here, I put on some liquid white. And just again, a very, very thin coat of liquid white in the center. And it has to be very thin because, our paints are going to go on top of this. If we had this very thick down here, all of our paints would start drifting down and we'd have a big mess. And you'd be mad at us, so we don't want that to happen. So very, very thin coat. I put some masking tape around here just as a personal preference. You may not want that. I just like to have a border when I'm done with it. So that's why I put that on there. You don't have to do that. So I've made that very thin. I've taken, again, a paper towel and just even lifted off some liquid white or liquid clear. After I did that, I took a mixture of alizarin crimson, and phthalo blue to make a little bit of a lavenderish tint, and I put that all in this dark area. Very, very thin again. Very, very thin. Worked it into the canvas, and that's what we have here. And it sounds a little complicated, but it's very easy. We have gesso. We have a mixture of alizarin crimson, phthalo blue. We have liquid white in the center, and before that we had our liquid clear just to make it glide easy on that. So our colors today, I've mixed a little bit because I made that lavender color here. So I've got my titanium white. I've got a little bit of red over here. I have sienna, burnt sienna. I have dark umber. I have black, crimson, sap green, cad yellow, and ochre. So those are going to be our colors that we'll be using today. And now I'm going to just start with, I'm going to take a one inch brush, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to come with my cad white. I'm going to pull, or titanium white. I'm going to tap some titanium white down into here, and just a little bit, a hint of cad yellow. And I've just tapped, remember, I just have tapped a little bit at the end of here. And I'm just going to get a little bit of sunshine down here. So that's kind of the center of our painting. That's where the sun would hit it. So I'm just going to have a little bit of that in there. Then I'm going to come with my phthalo blue. Clean the brush up a little bit. I'm going to just tap a little bit of phthalo blue in here. And I'm going to come up in this section and just get a little bit of sky in there. Just a little bit of sky. I'm just doing little X strokes. Come right down in here. We want to be careful coming into that yellow, because if I come into that, if I come into that yellow with the blue, it'll make it green, and we don't want that. Okay. So I've got the center. I have a little bit of white with the yellow mixed in here, cad yellow. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some foliage. So I'm just going to tap over here. I'm just going to tap. These are distant trees. So I'm just going to tap some basic shapes in here using just the corner of the brush. These are just distant foliage. I'm just grabbing color really from my bottom part, because that has the crimson in it already. Again, these are just distant shapes. Just background foliage. And I want them nice and soft. You see that? Nice and soft shapes. They're going to be distant trees deep in the forest. There we go. Okay, so now we have some nice soft foliage. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the, I'm going to take my liner brush. Right here, I've got my very small, hope you can see that, liner brush. I'm going to dip it into a little bit of my paint thinner to make a very thin color here. Maybe I'll roll into my darks. And I'm going to just suggest a little bit of a tree pattern. I'm going to wisp some leaves or some tree patterns in here. We'll just suggest a couple little things. We want them nice and loose. These are all in the distance. We're just using the tip of the liner brush. Nice and loose and free. Just some distant little things. A few in this area. I'll mix a little bit of white with that just so in this area I have a nice few suggestions of tree patterns going on here. This is a deep, deep forest. Okay. So there we have just a few suggestions of some foliage and trees and nice tall things going on here. And all this part is in the background. And we're going to highlight these in a bit. But we'll just, for now, that's what we'll do. Okay, now we're going to come back and we'll clean the brush a little bit. Set it aside. And we're going to make some distant foliage over here. For that, I'm going to use this Bob Ross round brush. I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to tap it into the color, just so I have a little bit at the end, and just start suggesting some foliage in the background. I'm just going to come in here, just start tapping just fill our foliage up. I don't want this very bright. Now on yours you might want it brighter. Mine, I'm just going to keep it a little bit soft. I hope you can see that. On this side. You tap, tap, tap this canvas and it bounces around a little bit on you. Don't just stay in one spot and just grind in there. And think clumps. This would be a nice walk. Nice hot day. You walk through this woods. It's a little bit cooler because the sun isn't reaching it as much. So, you know, and this painting is being made during our virus time, so we're kind of quarantined in here. So a nice walk in the woods probably would be a nice idea. Make some clumps. So think foliage. You don't want to lose all your dark spaces here. You need those darks in there. So don't keep on hitting it and lose them. Here, more on the top. This is turning into quite the nice dark forest. But then, once again, don't lose all of your dark spaces because you need the dark to show light. This is our brightest spot of the forest. It's actually getting out of the forest into the light. Okay, this is nice. Again, this is nice and soft, gentle. And you could tap, tap, tap. You could make this as smooth as velvet. You can actually lose it all. Okay, so I think that's pretty soft. I think I'm going to come back with my liner brush. I'm going to add a couple more little stems. Just to give it a little more interest. And then I'm going to tap a little bit more just to break those up. Okay. Then I'm going to clean my brush up a little bit. As you can see, I want it kind of a little bit misty back there. A little bit of an enchanting scene. I'm going to take a little bit of white, with my lavender color, and I'm just going to tap a few more. Just want to get a little more color in here. A few more suggestions of foggish. Just gives you a little more color back there. Then I'm going to take with my, I think I'm going to use my green now. I think I'll start working with the lay of the land. So I'm going to come on down here, and I'm going to take my sap green. I'm going to pull a little bit of the cad yellow. And I'm just going to kind of make the base here. I'm going to tap. This is starting the lay of the land. Just going to tap this down. Make another layer down here. Just to suggest our walkway. Into the forest. I put a little bit of white, titanium white into here, just so you can see it more. Tap, tap, tapping. I don't want to lose my dark spaces. So it's coming this way and that way. This would be a nice walk. I think you gotta make up little stories when you paint these scenes. Yeah, I got the Lego in here. I think about a nice deep woods and my home state of Upper Michigan. I wasn't in Upper Michigan, but I used to visit Upper Michigan. I was in mid-Michigan, but we travel up to the Upper Peninsula, and we get into the nice deep woods over there. You have to watch out that you don't see a bear come out at you. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a second. Put my brush over here. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the I'm going to take a little bit of the white here, and let's see, I'm going to take my knife, take some white over here, plop it down, take a little bit of the dark sienna, a little bit of Van Dyke, pull it out, maybe a little bit of that, maybe even a touch of that lavender. I'm pulling this out to make it a little bit of a marbly effect. And I'm going to cut across And I have that little roll of paint at the end. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to just suggest a little bit of a path. Gets wider and wider as it gets closer to us. This gives us a little perspective, sense of distance, having it small up top, wider and wider as we come to the base. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to take my fan brush and just lightly pull that and kind of smooth that pathway out. Okay. I think I'm going to take a little bit of this white, titanium white, and as I get up here, I'll make this even a little bit lighter. Okay, so we have a path, nice light path in there. And I'm going to clean the brush. I use, as I might have mentioned before, I use odorless paint thinner. I have a jar down here and I soak it in the paint thinner. Then I have a what they call a brush beater rack. So I put a rack inside a can or a trash can so I can beat it across there, and that cleans it off. Okay, I'm going to come in back with my 1-inch, well, I'll take the round brush. And I'll put that back over the path. Just tap some more values in there. Build up at the base of these trees a little bit. Then I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in here with, you can look at these branches here. And I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow and my green. I'm just going to tap in a little bit of color up here. I'm just shooting some branches down. Just to make the forest a little more enchanting. This is all distant still, but it gives us our background foliage. So now with my fan brush, I'm going to come up in here and I'm going to grab some of this sienna, a little bit of my dark Van Dyke, even a little black. I'm going to load this fan brush up, and we're going to really push all this forest back. So in order to do that, I come up here with the fan brush and I start loose, harder, stronger push, and we'll put a nice big fat tree back there. And we don't want him lonely, so we put another one right here. We press firmer as we get to the base. We'll load it up again, and we'll do the other side. And firmer as we get down. This one is a big one. Nice, strong tree. And we'll build his friend. Put him right over here. Yeah, those are nice strong trees. They guard the path. The little one here. Nice, strong. Trees. Some foots. So then we'll come back with our palette knife. And I'm going to make a highlight color on here. Take a little white. And the white. Raw sienna, a little Van Dyke. make it marbly. Cut across, get that little roll of paint. You got the light coming this way, so I'll just go up on this side and just lightly pull down. Same thing here. Just very gently touching the side. Come over here. Side. We're barely touching the canvas. Then I'm going to come in here with this white again. And I'm going to take even the least little touch of red, sienna, pulled out, and I'm going to lightly put a little bit more color in there. Now I'm going to, I've got that little roll of color of dark in here. I'm just going to tap. I'm just tapping the knife on there, push and pull it up. This is just to give it a little more texture type effect. This side. Just touching the canvas and letting it grab paint. Touch and pull. As I said, this gives you some texture. Makes the tree bark. guess that's almost figuratively too. It does talk to you. You know, Bob used to tell you that he'd go out, say, go out in the forest and talk to the trees, make friends with them. And we can do that because they're not contagious at this time. We're in COVID period. So this is a good time to do that when you need some friends. Then I'm even going to clear this palette knife, and I'm going to come up with a little bit of blue. This is reflected light. Get this on the dark side of the tree. Put it on this side just to give there we go. Put more down here. This one. Just to get some nice reflected light. Again, I'm just touching and lifting up. Okay. Clean the knife off. I'm going to clean my 1-inch brush. And I'm just going to lightly, barely touching it, just barely hitting the canvas. I'm just pulling this up to smooth it out a little bit. But I want to have that texture in there, so I want to leave quite a bit of it. Come with my greens again, the yellow. We're just going to hit the base of these trees. Coming into the path again. This gets us a little bit of shadow. Into the path, and the shadow into the trees. The shadow would cast this way. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with a little more yellows of my yellows. Tap, tap, tap. I just have a little bit of color at the end of that. But you know, I'm going to just hit these tops again. To get a little more value. Then I'm going to come back with my liner brush. I'm going to come in, you can use black, you can use Van Dyke. This is a long brush. This has a very long tip. So I'm loading this up, holds a lot of color. And I'm just going to add a few little branches here. Nice and loose. You can add as many of these as you wish. As Bob told you, if you have a shaky hand, this is good in this case. You want these nice and crooked. Trees don't like to have straight limbs. They're afraid the lumberjacks will come in there. If they got crooked limbs, they won't take them. Cut them up and make boards. Oh, we have some nice light bushes, and we have light bushes here. We have some nice branches. And you can make as many of these as you wish. Make a few more on this side. A couple down here coming up. We'll take our palette knife. I just want to scrape in a few more little branches. Just lifting up with the palette knife. Scraping in a few more. Distant trees. Okay. Back on this side and add just a couple more. All right. Clean the old brush. I'm going to come back with my fan brush. Come back with the fan brush. And we're going to make a few little clumps. So I'm going to go into my yellow ochre. Tap into it, load it up. And I'm going to make a few more distant clumps over here. Just using the corner of that brush. We just want a few little suggestions of clumps coming over here. You might want green on this. Up to you. You can make these more green. I want it fairly dark back here. When we were teenagers, we used to go into the woods, and it used to be, that was part of the ambiance. Is to be into the deep, deep woods. Back here, get his foots again. Okay, so now, clean my brush. And I think we're going to try with a this is a small little filbert. And I'm going to grab some red. Come up here. Grab a little red there. I'm going to come over, grab a little bit of yellow. With a yellow in there. Maybe I'll get a little bit more yellow in there. Make it a little bit brighter so you can see it. Yellow. Maybe we'll take and add even a little blue over here. I'm going to take my liner brush some black. Little head on there. Come into this section. This little section will have some long hair coming down. And then we'll come back here. Just a little suggestion here. And we're kind of building a little group of walkers. In my case, I think about my grandchildren, my 3 in Michigan, and I have some in, well, I have 5 in Michigan. Here they are taking a nice little stroll in the woods, the 3 of them. Then I have one in West Virginia that they have some nice woods over there too. So I think about them in the woods, taking a nice walk, looking toward the sunlight, probably picking up some pine cones or something on the way, staying out of trouble, walking and wandering, enjoying the view. So there you have a nice way to do, very easy way to do some people. Now I'm going to take a little bit and load up my liner brush. I'll sign this one. Let me take this tape off, show you what happens. Bottom off here. Grab this tape. Start from the bottom. If that's an easier to take off that way. And that just kind of gives it a nice border around it. You can come back with your black up here, and you can just kind of build that top in. And I think that's about it on this one. I hope you enjoyed it. We have a nice walk in the woods, very deep in the woods, and it's on a nice COVID type day in there. And I hope again that you enjoyed this one. Look at our other paintings, and hope to see you soon. We have other ones online, so keep painting, keep practicing. See you soon. This is Robert. This is A Joy of Painting.